two that maybe
This is what I'm
require
thinking.
5.
I
I don't know if this one does.
Nasty weather.
I'm missing it. I thought it was
You have your sheet for reorganization, right? So, you
Oh,
know,
where's
we're doing-
that?
We're starting with that.
With the old one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in the packet.
Where everyone is.
Go ahead, Justina.
Go. No.
I have it. Oh,
Good evening and welcome to the Sunderland Elementary School Committee meeting, Tuesday, May 21st. Call to order at 7 o'clock, 7:01. First item on the agenda this evening is reorganization.
and I'll kick that off because the first thing we do is to elect a chair. So I would ask if there are any nominations for chair.
I'll nominate Justine Rosewarne.
Second?
Justine has been nominated and seconded.
Checked with her.
Did I miss something?
No, I said I checked with her.
Oh, okay.
Tracy looked.
Okay.
Concerned.
So Justine has been nominated and seconded. Are there any other nominations? The nominations are closed. If all of those in favor of Justine continuing as chair, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, so that vote would be 4-0-1. You abstained, correct? Okay. So at this point, it goes back to Justine, and there's 2 other positions to be elected, and then the rest are appointed.
Okay. So I'm looking for a nomination for a vice chair.
Nominate Amy? Yeah?
So, do we have a second?
So I'll second that.
Any other nominations? None being so, we'll vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Okay, so that's another 4-0-1, correct? Okay. One more to go.
And do I have a nomination for secretary?
I'll nominate Doug Fulton, please.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 4-0-1.
3, actually, 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Carlos is missing.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's 3-0-1. I don't
Yeah,
know.
3-0.
Gotcha.
That's what happens.
Carl, that's right.
That's right. Tag, you're it.
And next item is Frontier representative from this board.
Should we nominate Carlos?
We don't nominate, this is
That's
an appointed.
These are all appointed from
Right.
here on, yeah.
Right.
And the chair, so,
I have been the rep, I'm happy to continue, but if there's someone else that is interested, please, feel free.
Good.
You're okay? Everybody's good? Okay?
If you want to continue, just.
Sure, that's great, it's fine, yep. And our Union 38 representatives, so this is when we have a joint meeting, these will be the voting members, and it's attending, all the joint meetings for our union. And current is myself, Amy, and Tracy.
It's always the chair.
Okay.
And two
And
others.
I'm fine with that.
do you wanna, okay, is that good?
That's right with everybody else,
that's great.
Okay, so we'll stay the same. And permanent building committee was Carlos. I'm gonna continue, I'm sure he's fine with that. If we wanna change it, we can change that. School council liaison is Amy.
Was it?
I thought it was somebody else.
I don't think
Doug.
it's me.
It was Douglas.
Doug
That's right.
stopped.
It is, I missed a lot of meetings.
Yeah, I think there might be a vacancy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
I have not done
Really?
that, and I'm happy to
Okay,
do that.
great.
If you don't,
That's great if you are happy,
Yeah.
and that's probably still good, because
because are those meetings still in the early afternoon, Tim?
Pardon me, ma'am?
Are they still in the early afternoon? Well,
Yes,
early evening,
yes.
type 3, 4, yeah,
when
we're
that's
doing
okay
this.
for me.
Yeah.
it was getting.
And we can, as we look to the next year, we can play with that.
Yeah, no, that's okay, actually, I can
Okay.
do that, so,
Okay,
I can do that, Doug,
thanks.
yep.
okay, great. And the collaborative liaison is currently Doug Fulton.
I'm happy to continue doing that.
Anyone
But I
else?
won't- So if somebody's
No?
dying to get in there, that's okay with me. But it's.
Okay,
it's
good.
interesting.
And do we need a policy review committee rep still?
Done, right?
It's done? Okay. And negotiations is, yay, so that's,
For a while.
we're done. Right. Thank you, everyone. Next item, review and approve minutes of April 8th, 2013. Any questions, comments, changes, concerns, typos?
Motion to approve the minutes for Wednesday, April 8th, 2013.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0. And Patty, financial statement.
I don't have a financial statement this evening due to a computer glitch. We migrated our server, meaning we are taking all the information off an old server, migrating it to the new server. And for some reason, the Sunderland is missing a few days during that migration. So our numbers are reflective of March instead of April. So they are working on that as we speak to try and restore back to the right file date, and hopefully it'll get restored by tomorrow. And I just had the warrants for you to sign,
Great.
so I apologize.
Okay.
Are you allowed, okay, is it legal, I'm assuming you can email them to us once it's all sorted out?
We'll
or
mail
is it-
them to you.
Or mail it, okay.
We'll be happy to mail them.
All right. Just so we have the record once it's.
Next item, public comment. We have public here. This is exciting. Is anybody?
This is, you would have been like September, October, November, December. You guys could have come at different months.
Spread it out.
Does anybody have anything, or are you just joining us?
So I think, oh, go ahead. No, I think we all have a similar voice, so we're just all mothers of upcoming kindergartners. And we're also looking at the class size and feeling anxious about it, and just trying to get some feedback as to what the plan might be.
Sure. I can comment on that. So it's good to see you all, and why don't you, since you're here, why don't you tell us who you are? And tell us who your
to do
child is
that.
coming into kindergarten.
I'm Allison Booth Mayo, and Caitlin Mayo is my daughter. We met the other day. Hi.
That's right,
And I'm Leilani Kidder, and Austin Durso's coming into kindergarten.
that's right. And we have Tessa already in our pre-K, absolutely.
I'm Louisa Dory, and Eric's coming into kindergarten, but I have a second grader, Marcus.
And your sister is Roxanne Dory.
Yes, that's true.
Who is also-
I recognize the resemblance.
Isn't it something?
Yeah, that's right, we've met
Yes.
before.
It's good to see you. And Mary Beth?
I'm Mary Beth Dion, and
Do you have children in the school?
maybe 1, 2, or 3.
And this is David's mother.
David and Diego is coming into kindergarten.
Oh, exciting.
So.
Great, thank you all for coming.
So it's good to have you all here. And I think almost everybody was at our kindergarten visitation the other day. And we talked about that because right now, as it stands, I think the number today is 20, I believe it's 23, but we also have a call in from Florida of a family that has told us that they are thinking they're going to move up, and they've given us names and that sort of thing. As I think I told folks at the visitation, you know, we are very mindful of that number. And also, as many of you have children in the school district know, Sunderland's an interesting community because we get a lot of people move, and we have a lot of transitions that go on during the summer, as many communities do, but this one in particular, because of some of the housing and our proximity to the university and a lot of other things. I will say that that number does often go up. It does often go up, if I'm completely honest with you, and all you have to do is go back and probably look at some numbers. It's gonna be in the wrong direction. And then, you know, every once in a while it goes down. I have spoken with the superintendent, and she's very aware and very mindful of the fact that we need to keep an eye on that number, and so we will. If that number goes, you know, much up towards the other side of those, you know, the other side of the middle of the 20s. I hate to say a number, but the truth, because it's often about the mix, but the truth is, if that number goes too much further up the line, you know, then we certainly would feel more compunction to consider another class there. However, I just need to say, and I'm probably repeating myself to you, you know, because I think I said most of this at the visitation, but you know, most recently, I've been with other administrators doing instructional rounds throughout the district. I've visited not just kindergartners, but classes, K through 6 classes throughout the district. And I've seen a handful of classes that are over 25 and operating, you know, operating in Conway, operating, well, Conway in particular, most recently, I saw 3 classes up that way. So it's not unheard of to have class sizes of 25 in a setting, even in kindergarten. Is it ideal? Probably not. Certainly, we would look to try to keep that student teacher ratio smaller by having other adults in the room, and you folks know this. You know who the players are. You know that in the kindergarten. You know who the kindergarten teacher is right now. Heck, you know who the instructional assistant is in there right now. Both extremely capable people. But you know, what I can say to you is that we are very mindful of it. I have, you know, the list of our folks who have said they're attending and who actually came to the visitation. Those who have said we've got a couple families that are moving out of town. But here again, we don't know they're going to move out of town till they move out of town. You know, so I'm sure that it's probably frustrating for you, because I think you'd probably like to walk out of this meeting tonight and say, oh, I've got an absolutely hard and fast answer from Mr. Meriden from the district, and we know it's going to be this or that. And I'm sorry, I don't know that right now. But I do want you to know that we are looking very closely at it, and the board is aware of this. In fact, I will also say the board was very mindful as we considered school choice numbers. And the caveat was, Tim, we don't want to have a lot of choice slots down in kindergarten, and even if we give you a few, we don't want you to execute them unless you have a lot of latitude there, and we haven't. We haven't. So that's not a brief answer, but that's about as thorough as I can be right now. You might have some other things you want to ask about, but.
I guess I have a question in that regard.
Yeah.
Does that mean that there are no other school choice slots that are going to open up? Because what I'm wondering
That's
now
correct.
is if the class is going to be split, whether the town is
Well,
missing the opportunity
that's a
to
good,
offer
yes,
space.
that's a good question, Allison. At this point in time, we are not accepting any any further school choice slots into that cohort, okay? Which means that there are a handful of people who applied for school choice in Sunderland who were not accepted for this, are not accepted at this time. If for some reason, the board makes a decision that they want to open up another classroom and we open up another classroom at some point, what I would do is, I would then, you're right, scramble to probably contact those folks and say, hey, we didn't think we could accommodate you at the time, we can now. And probably beyond that, I might call some of my colleagues, whether it's in sister towns or nearby towns, to say, hey, do you have some families who you weren't able to accommodate? And perhaps I'd contact them, because you're right, at that point, then you'd want to have a few more to offset the cost of opening up that second classroom. So you're right on the mark there.
I'd just like to take the opportunity to share a couple thoughts. I'm a new parent.
Sure.
This is my first child in the school system, and
Yep.
I've been deciding ever since we had a very nice visit on orientation
Yep.
day. We left the school feeling very positively about the experience that my daughter's gonna have here, but I was quite shocked about the number. And I've been deciding, how upset I should be, or how concerned I should be.
Okay.
And some of the factors that I've been thinking about that are concerning me is, first of all, I'm looking jealously over to our neighbors to the west that I understand have about 16 class members and 3 different classes. So that means that they have, say, 48.
Okay.
I mean, this is all
Sure.
anecdotal. This
So
is
you're talking, we won't name it, but you're talking west and a little north.
Sure.
Okay, okay.
So
Gotcha.
according to my calculation, they're dealing with 48, and they're splitting that into 3, and when they
Yeah.
could have, done 2. So, I'm using these kind of factors to say,
Sure.
what is it that I should be looking for as a parent?
In terms of a number, what's a
In terms
good
of a
class
number.
size?
Right, exactly.
Okay. So-
And then also anecdotally, I've heard from parents with older children who have had the experience of having a large class size, say 26, and
Yeah.
their perspective is that it was problematic, and knowing that they're concerned makes me concerned.
Okay.
And my last point, I guess, is a question. Is 25 not the cutoff number for class size?
The policy is actually, we try to keep them around 20 for the lower elementaries. And when we exceed that number and we don't have enough for a second class and a second teacher, we've done things in several of our schools in terms of having a certified teacher who's an aide, as well as the teacher. The NEAYC recommendations for early childhood is 12 to 1, 12 students to 1 adult. I think the things you consider in the makeup of these classes is what are the needs of the students? And if indeed there are needs of students which are overwhelming, then that is one of the reasons that you may have a second class. We have worked it in terms of having a teacher and 2 certified aides and breaking up the class so that in effect it does act as a separate classroom for several of the students, and they only come together first thing in the morning for circle and things of that nature. We do have some large class sizes, and we've had as many as 24 in our classes in both Deerfield and in Conway. We tend not to have such large ones in Whately because 1/3 of that school is school choice. So I think the best we can say is we certainly want to make sure that we assure quality education for kids who are kindergarten, preschool, 1st and 2nd grade, and this board has in the past created additional classes in order to keep those classes small. So I'm sure that's something that they would consider. But there is not an additional teaching salary in the budget. And the minimum you would have to look at is someplace around $45,000 that you would need to come up with. So that's a consideration. And Tim is right, that this is a community that ebbs and flows, and a lot of it happens in the summer. We're just not sure who's going to be here when school opens.
Just to clarify my point, I realize there are different standards kindergartners, but what I was referring to was I thought that there was actually a Massachusetts law that required kindergarten class size not to exceed 25.
No, not to my knowledge. We operate under the NAYC recommendations. We are certified in that area, and that's 12-1 in terms of adult to student. But our own policy, each of our school committees have a policy, and we're looking at 20. Yeah. But there's caveats on that in terms of budget considerations, student makeup considerations in a class, et cetera. So it's not always possible to do that.
Is that 20-1? Like, I'm.
Yes.
So
Certified
it's 20-1,
teacher.
like the standard is 12-1, but we operate on 20-1?
No,
We're
That-
talking
that's
two
what I
different
mean.
One
things.
is the student to adult ratio.
To adult ratio.
So,
It's
of course, in
12-1.
kindergarten, we always have 2 adults in the room.
Mhm.
We have
Yeah.
a lead teacher, and then we have a full-time aide. And then there are cases like this year where we actually have a lead teacher and 2 full-time aides. And then, if I really broke it down per hour, there are many times when there are as many as 4 adults servicing those kindergartens, or maybe even 5. So the ratio goes down. When we start to talk about early literacy groups, the ratio goes down more like 5-1, frankly. You know, if we think about certain interventions, and that's true in first grade, that's true in second grade, third grade, as we look up. Not everywhere, not everywhere. You can see pockets in the building where general instruction in a particular class, there might be a lead teacher up there, and there might be 10 or 12 students sitting in the classroom. But very often, if you walk these halls during instruction time, you'll see kids and adults in all places in this building receiving small group instruction. That's another thing that's kind of interesting, because people look at Sunderland and say, Sunderland, you have a lot of space in Sunderland, because at one time, in the year 2000, this community had 100 more students in the building. But with native drop in population and other matters, but mostly that, it's dropped down. So people look at Sunderland and say, you've got a lot of space in that building, but the truth is, in the last decade, best practices in education have forced us to educate kids in smaller groups, in what we call RTI, response intervention groups. So if you walk in this building during math or literacy time, you're going to see most of these spaces taken up. A lot of you do. Mary Beth, you walk in here most days, and there's not a lot of room to accommodate extra surprises, because there are kids learning all over in very small groups. That's not meant to assuage your complete anxiety over the classroom size, but I'm just saying that, you know, the way education is delivered is certainly different in the last decade, as different.
I just wanted to say too, just as a, a board member and a mom who's actually been in your shoes a couple times, Allison, in terms of having a bigger class size, this board is very mindful of class sizes. We're constantly looking, especially at that kindergarten number. So it's not just something that will be forgotten over the summer in terms of, the board coming together and really kind of keeping an eye on that number. The second point I want to make is just as another teacher, the classroom that your kids are going into with that particular teacher, those kids are really, really lucky. Seal Antes is just a phenomenal teacher. And I have to say, if there's anybody who could maybe manage a few more extra kids, it would absolutely be Seal. And that's not saying we would let those numbers just skyrocket, but just as another teacher, I look at her as sort of just a real mentor in terms of the way she manages her classroom, her organizational style. She's really somebody that, I would, I'm talking really exceptional. And my children weren't even in her class, but just as a teacher looking into her classroom, I really think she's fantastic. So, don't let those numbers completely sort of take over what you're about to head into in terms of kindergarten experience, because there's a lot of great stuff, ahead of you and coming your way in terms of walking in this building. I don't think you'll find a greater proponents of Sunderland than, the people sitting at this table. But we're also very mindful of those small class sizes. So, your concerns are taken seriously, and, we'll keep those in mind, absolutely, as we move forward. But don't let that get in the way of your excitement for, your kids coming to kindergarten. As a preschool teacher, I know that it's a stressful time, but it's really exciting. And
as much as that number goes up, you know, that number also goes down. This community is really, you just can't bank on it. But I also have sat right where you are, for real.
Yeah,
Yeah, and,
for real.
and had the exact same questions, and sort of heaviness in my heart. So,
Yeah.
it's something that is on the radar already, and something that will stay on the radar, and, you know,
And I would also say, I mean, I appreciate that you folks are here, because it puts the discussion out there, and it also allows us to respond to that. Allison, for example, you're right, this is your first child in a building, right? And so I would hate to not have this discussion with you. I would hate, for example, for you to make a decision that forced you to look elsewhere or in a different direction, and that we didn't have this dialogue. So I'm talking to you now, but really I'm talking to anybody listening, and I would ask you to carry that message. And I suppose I'm talking myself into calling people on the phone from week to week to check in and make sure they're still coming, because, see, that would be a problem too. You know, if we start to lose people because they decided to decamp without this discussion and without having the certitude of what's really gonna happen in September. What I can say to you for certain now is, I know that I'll have a kindergarten class in September, and I know Seal Antes will be teaching it, and probably Flora Cox will be. I can say that because they're not Laurel and Hardy, but they're just an awesome team together. Not Laurel and Hardy, sorry.
They're phenomenal.
Sorry, Dr. Nash. I have to talk to her tomorrow morning about that. But
Tim,
we're actually really far from that.
really far. The point is, they're outstanding at what they do, and
That's
so.
for sure.
That I'm certain about.
Yep.
And I want this dialogue to continue, because I wouldn't want somebody like you. Yes.
Like I said, I have a second grader named Marcus. It's hard for me to, even though I'm excited that I hear wonderful things about the teacher, and I hear that you're saying, if anybody can do it, it's her, I hear that. And that's, you know, provides a little relief for me, but my second grader went through this, as did yours, right 2 years ago, where he was in a very large 25, 26 kindergarten, and that was not a good experience, to be frank with you. It was really bad, and we were very close to pulling him out. And first grade was, although a little bit better, it could have been so much better had the class been split in first, and that we didn't have to wait 2 years for it to be split. I mean, the numbers do matter. They do matter.
Absolutely.
He's in a second grade split class, and he's thriving now, when he should have been thriving starting kindergarten. And I feel very like, I'm wondering, so when do you know the number? Because that might make a difference whether I send my child here or not. Because I can't go through what I went through with Marcus 2 years ago. I will not do that. I'll find the money to pay to send you know, Eric somewhere else if I have to. I feel that strongly about it. I am a teacher, and you know, it does make a difference. I have a class of 26, for example, and I have another one of 15. It makes a difference, you know. And I don't think a teacher should be put in that position, no matter how, you know, competent that teacher is. If a 5-year-old needs attention, they need attention. They cannot get attention if there's 25 other 5-year-olds, you know. So I'm very concerned.
Sure. Well,
Tim, let me ask you.
Yeah, please.
How many school choice applications do you have for kindergarten?
In total, Dr. Nash? We didn't have a ton this year. I think I had 7 total. Total.
I'm looking at the sheet that was recommended at the last meeting.
Yeah.
In which you had predicted 5 to 8 slots for kindergarten. And the board, with the other ones added in, it was 29 to 32, and the board decided at 29, with the discretion being at the principal level. It would seem to me that we're not that far from when we announced school choice openings.
Right.
We've got 7 or 8 that are pending. And if this board wanted to sort of shoot the dice, is that the right term? What do you do with dice?
Roll the dice.
I don't gamble.
I don't either, but.
I do. Let's do it.
If you wanted to roll the dice and give Tim permission to contact those 7 or 8 people and see if they're still interested. Maybe then giving, if the answer is yes to most of them, accept them. That would pay for your second teacher. If he contacts them and they already have found other places to go, and then maybe you'd like to give him the discretion to keep the class as it is for right now and see what happens. But that was his original recommendation, 5 to 8, last month.
And so
But
that's
I think this is a board
so
decision.
the 23 is before, well, the anticipated 23 to 24 right now is before
School choice,
any of
any
those,
school
any of
choice.
those
Correct.
Yeah.
inquiries, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we also have a
That's-
track record for first and second grade when we did, you know,
Absolutely.
initiate splitting that class at the kindergarten level and then the second grade, splitting that one going into second
Right.
grade. That not only did we maintain those populations that we had, but we were able to add in both of those situations.
The next few
I
years.
think if you can manage to get 5, I mean, if you can bring these up to 28,
30.
Or 30.
28 or more,
Right.
then you've got 2 classes. And if you're gonna put your money anywhere, you need to put it in kindergarten first and second. And I think you have a shot at doing it when you've got that many applications out there. So I would say, if
Roll
you
the
feel
dice.
like you can gamble on this, because each child, and I'm sorry to say it, but I worry about money, is $5,000. And if you can get 5 to 8 more in, you can probably manage, because there's always changes in hiring, et cetera, from year to year, and you can probably manage another teacher.
Do we also know what our leftover was in choice? Because I feel like we
No.
had,
I'm not sure you're gonna have any left over, because this year's budget is very tight, because we've had to hire additional
aides.
tutors and special ed aid. So we may be coming to you next month to use your school choice for this year's budget, because those things were unbudgeted for this year. So we have to work that out.
well, I
Do you
think
have
we
a
should.
sense where the, I'm sorry, Justine.
No, I think we should definitely make the effort, call everyone.
Do you have a
call-
sense whether those people are still on the market for?
I don't, I really don't, if I'm really
Yeah.
honest. I don't have a
Wouldn't
sense
know.
today, but I'll have
Yeah.
a sense in, within 24 hours, I'll have a sense.
Well, and also the class size, if you were getting that phone call and he was able to say to you, you
You
know,
can come
it,
to Sunderland because there'll be
it looks like we would be down
15 in.
15
around
in each
15,
class.
you know, then you're gonna be much more likely to say, you know what, I'd like to come and take a second look, make an appointment with the kindergarten teacher and yourself, or whomever in the building, you know, is who you're working
prospective
with.
Kindergarten parents could help with food, baked goods, and we could.
No, there's such value in staying in your community.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
It's particularly when you're first, you know, with your first one, there's just such value in, you know,
And in the
that
small
connection.
classes.
There's so many layers to it, that I would just want that for all of you, you know?
So is that what the board, is that the consensus of the board, that
Yeah,
you'd like Tim
absolutely,
to
if,
call these parents tomorrow? See
Yes.
if he can round up some school choice kids?
I'll help.
And also, I think
Phone
reaching out
list.
to our,
Take the Odyssey out.
I think reaching out to the other towns too, to, you know, in
Oh, I
our,
will.
to see if there's
I will.
any.
I'll talk with I'll talk with our own folks as well, because. Sure.
Because we
I'm happy,
do
to- I'm
have
happy to
some,
do that.
And I
I
think we,
believe, at least in one of our schools, we had some extra school choice we could not accommodate in kindergarten. So,
Okay.
all right, so we'll do that and see where that leads.
and follow up.
and I was gonna say, is there a way we can just sort of follow up with
I'm
current
sure he can
parents
do
to
that.
let them know,
Absolutely.
just to,
Yeah, absolutely.
put your minds at
Anybody
ease.
from any
Yeah.
I know, that's the other thing.
play
is,
groups,
you know,
preschools
right.
that you know or have been looking, obviously.
That only helps the case.
then,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to pillage other towns, you know, but if people
Right.
are looking,
Well,
then, I'm sincerely, I mean, the school choice, we all know how.
I know,
the-
I know.
The thing about school choice, but,
Yeah.
but yeah, but if people are looking, then, Because this is, you know, it is a little, it's the, like you said, a roll of the dice. I think it's worth it. We should do it, and it's such a priority at these low grades. It's just tough because if the numbers don't work, you know, like Dr. Nash said, I mean, we've got a budget, so then, you know, and there's no excess anywhere in this town right now, and there was an override shot down for capital stabilization. It's $70,000. So it's tough. So then, what, you know, where does it come out? You know,
Right.
we've been trying to get back some of the things we lost 4 or 5 years ago, and so that's the only reason, obviously, that we even hesitate in this. You know, if it wasn't that challenging, you know, that's why we have a policy that says we're aiming at 20. You know, because we believe in that's an upper bound, not our kind of starting point. So,
Right.
so but we'll do our best, and this guy's very good at it. So.
Yeah, we
Represents
will.
us very
And so
well.
we'll, in terms of checking in, you know, I'll check in with, of course, Dr. Nash and I will be on it, and I know that we'll talk with the board as well. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Suggestion,
absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Absolutely. And I just really cannot thank you all enough for coming, because this is really what it's all about. You know, we need to hear from people, so thank you so much. It really,
Come back.
yeah, please. It's really important. Thank you. So we'll, yeah. Thanks.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Sorry?
So keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, yes. And know that, yeah, it's definitely been, you know, we've been talking about it, so. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Great. Moving on. The really exciting stuff, the bus riding policy.
Right, if you remember, I brought this to you last time. This was the discussion in another community in which we had a parent who wished to have her preschool youngster riding on a regular bus. And what we did with the policy was to adjust it to basically say that school districts do not provide transportation for preschool children except for those who qualify for special education transportation services. Those students who do qualify are transported on the small vans, because the Safety Council certainly recommends that they're in seats and restrained in those seats. So we want to make sure that we don't have that issue coming up in any of the other school districts, because obviously it was denied as a request. And we do not want 3- and 4-year-olds riding on the large buses without the contained seat. So I would ask that you approve the policy change. Actually, it's an amendment, not a new policy.
Okay, so we don't need to.
You need to amend
Great.
the word.
Do I have a motion to amend policy EEAA-1, bus riding eligibility?
I'll make a motion to amend the policy.
Second it. Any discussion, questions? No? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is, really? Am I missing something? Reports? Let's see. So I don't have anything specific, but I will move on to my Frontier report, if that's okay. The Frontier meeting was last week, and the new administration team for the high school was introduced. Darius Modesto will be the new principal, Scott Dredge, assistant principal, and Sarah Mitchell, who has been in the position, but a little bit of change, Director of Secondary Education and K through 12 Health coordinator. So it's a great change. It's very exciting, great team. I think we're really lucky to have all of them. We also discussed the capital planning budgets and how that's all gonna work with the towns. There's gonna be some changes or figuring out how it's all gonna work. What else? we have tentative agreements for the contracts, the teacher contracts, and the instructional assistants, thank you. All 4 groups. So we have tentative agreements for all of those. And that was a great effort by everyone involved, I just want to say. It's a lot of meetings, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort. And Dr. Nash and all the teachers, everyone that's involved. So that's almost done. I think that was about it. Am I missing anything? Next, the collaborative, Doug?
Yep. We met a couple weeks ago, and we got the budget presentation, and approved fall tuitions. Well, a big thing going on right now is preparing for an executive director search, and we're actually going to have a special meeting for that on the 4th, because it turns out just the consultants for that search run enough that it actually has to become, an open, needs to be an RP or whatever it is that's got to, so. It's, yeah, it is a very large budget, the collaborative, so I guess, and it's, I don't have a great, kind of perspective on this particular kind of hiring process. I haven't, frankly been involved with it before. But it does seem that folks, from the current executive director and so on, that having this kind of advisory, help is, it's can be pretty important. So that's where that's at, the collaborative, and then that was, we did get a presentation from within the collaborative. That was, it was when we get the presentations from the different folks with the programs, leading the programs in there. It's all that great stuff.
I think the more I'm involved and the more, and it's been a while, but I feel like I learn something new that they do all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's really an incredible,
The resources.
the
that they have,
resources
yeah.
that they have and the services that they offer to the children in just the whole area. It's really, it's amazing.
Take advantage of the resources.
Yeah, it's,
And they'll create something for you if you throw it out.
it really is. I don't think people realize
Yeah.
what it does.
I had no
It's-
idea until I
yeah.
was on it. For anybody, you guys, if you don't know them, anybody listening, I won't do the best job of describing it, but, collaborative. It's collaborative across the schools in Franklin and Hampshire County to provide services that an individual school, wouldn't make financial sense to try to do on your own. So some of that's with special ed. I think that was where it started, but I'm not certain of that. But lots of professional development programming, and
Grant writing,
grant writing.
Oh, yeah.
So
virtual education will be involved with that, virtual schools. The 2 collaboratives are coming together to apply to be one of the schools next year. And we're already working with them on that.
Wow.
So,
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
as you can see, the superintendents from the various
Everyone is. yeah.
districts work, and to also to make sure that collaborative is providing the needs of the individual districts and schools, and they do amazing stuff. So
Great. Oh, you know what I did want to mention, which I had a note somewhere. Town meeting, it feels like it was a million years ago. And it wasn't that long ago. But we did have our budget pass. It was passed with no fanfare, frankly, and it wasn't a huge town meeting. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But it was probably one of the quickest in my, I want to say 15 years I've been going to town meeting. It was fast, and I think people work so hard on the other end of it and, you know, get things done, that it, you know, by the time we get to that point, it just, everything moved right along, so it was great. Couple of things need to be fixed, but, besides that, I think it's all good. Mr. Merritt?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll try to be brief. We just yesterday finished up our MCAS for the year. So the kids, students in grades 3 through 6 finished their math MCAS, and also the 5th graders finished up their science and technology MCAS. And so it's always a good time of year when we finish those out. Anticipate we'll do just fine on those. This week, we do have scheduled on Thursday our second annual Bike to School, but we are looking at some weather models, and so we may have to pull the plug on that. I'll make an announcement tomorrow morning after I talk to Mr. Howe. And the rain date was originally for the next Friday, so we'll make a determination. What I don't want to do is I don't want to create any kind of a safety situation. And frankly, right now, as I looked at the weather models, Thursday morning's not a problem, but Thursday afternoon looks like absolute definite rain, and then also possibilities of lightning, so that's the problem. So I just want the board to be aware, because I know when we make, you know, certain things happen, I know a lot of you folks get phone calls, so I want to give you the understanding of why I would make that.
Sure.
Can you just postpone it and not cancel it?
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
this weekend.
yes, ma'am, yeah,
Good.
what we'll try to do is reschedule it for next Friday if we do have to
Great.
reschedule it. And I will exercise the Alert Now technology in it, because we really think a lot of kids and families are gonna participate
Yeah,
this year. Last year, about 70 did, and this year, because Mr. Howe has renamed it, it's not just Bike to School, it's Bike, Skate, Scoot,
Walk.
or
Yep.
Walk to School. So he's really opened it up. So I will probably exercise the Alert Now in either way. Say it's on or say it's not, and you folks will hear about it. Okay? But it's a terrific initiative, so we will try to do it one way or another. Another initiative, we are having the Spring Carnival. That is on June 6th. June 6th. It's a Thursday night. The PTO is sponsoring it. Bub's Barbecue is donating, I think, 250 pounds of barbecue. And so there's going to be, I think, it's going to be a free dinner. Yeah, it is a free dinner.
It's free.
And the band Rusty Bell, which is Kate Lorenz's band, is going to perform for us. And it'll be a carnival, sort of a boardwalk atmosphere out back, so we're really looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. Again, thank the PTO on that. PTO is also bringing Chinese acrobats here on the 30th of May. I didn't put it in my report, but I'm letting you know. During the day, we've got Chinese acrobats that are going to be flying through the gym. Come and see it. And honestly, it's a fairly short, there's a lot going on in your school right now. It's a really, really busy time of year, and you know that.
Lives and, yeah.
Look to the Sentinel, look to the online calendar for your best indication of what the events are in and around the building. We have things in early June, like Junior Olympics happening up at, at Frontier, and we've got all kinds of field trips. Peggy Bolte's class is going to Roger Williams tomorrow, and it goes on and on. So there is a lot going on. So we're looking forward to rounding out the year. It's been a good year.
Thank you. Dr. Nash?
I too wanted to comment on the community participation and the fact that the Sunderland Elementary School budget was approved, and I think we need to thank the people who showed up and supported that. So I think we're thinking along the same lines. I also need to request that we change the June meeting date. Your date right now is set for Tuesday, June 18th. I have 2 graduations that evening. I really would like to go to them. Both Conway and Whately will be graduating their 6th graders. So I would like to suggest that we meet either the day before or the day after your regular meeting date. So that would be either Monday, June 17th, or Wednesday, June 19th. I don't know if you have any regular meetings that you do on either the Monday or the Wednesday.
The 19th would not be good for me, but I
You
don't
meet the
know
day
about-
Would
before.
Monday, the 17th work?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd like, Tim, it works for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'd like to make that Monday, June 17th, and I appreciate your changing it. But every year I try to do all 5 graduations, and it gets pretty complicated. I can do 2 a night, but I can't do 2 a night and a board
At a
meeting.
meeting.
Right.
So I do appreciate that.
At 7 PM?
Yeah, same time, same place, just Monday the 17th. And I might remind you that Sunderland's graduation is on Thursday, June 13th.
Yes.
We don't have that down. And we have a Sunderland student who's coming to speak that evening that I feel a particular connection to. Would you like to announce that? Amanda?
Yes, Amanda, who was a Sunderland graduate and will be a Harvard freshman in this fall. And we invited her to speak. Ms. Von Flatern made a suggestion, and we invited her to speak, and she was thrilled. And you know what she said? I went up directly to Frontier to invite her in person, having spoken to Principal Barrett about it. Principal Barrett said she'd be a lovely speaker. And so I invited her in person, and she said, "Do you know, I've always wanted to do this graduation speech." I really,
I love it.
I said, "For how long
course
has
you
it,
would.
for how long has it been a goal year?" She said, "Since I left Sunderland." So, well, come back. So it couldn't have been a nicer.
Amanda
great.
was also the recipient of the Superintendent's Award this year. And I noticed she's also just recently received the Peace Award. So it's a very nice honor, and it's great to have Amanda here. She'll do a nice job for
great.
you. So I hope everyone will be there on the 13th. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Wow. Anything else? With that, at 7:51,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
make a motion, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
The end.
Thank you.
Thank you.